You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about making the most out of where you are in life. I mean, you just have to be proud of where you are and okay with where you are. And sometimes it's hard to try that on. It's hard to get used to that because you're like, no, I want different. I want more. But I bet life has kind of got some good aspects of it. We're going to dig in and evaluate that and how you can make changes if you need to. And I also want to make sure you stay with us in our next segment. We're going to be joined by Mandy Meehan, who's going to talk about the health conditions that she have had. There's several diagnoses and how she took extra steps to kind of figure out all the way back to her childhood and discover how and why all these circumstances happened. It's kind of twisty. We'll unpack it. And I also want to make sure that if you are looking to hear our show at the gym, in the car, go to the Living Full Out app. It's in the App Store. It's free. And we also want to make sure that you do reach out to us. We cherish our inspirational guests that come on our show, and maybe you know someone that you'd like to nominate, or you have your own story that you'd like to share that you feel would help people. Do reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. We'd very much like to hear from you and just let us know what you went through, how you got through it, and of course, your contact info. Now, I am getting word from our producer that we do have a listener on the line. We're going to go check in with them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, hello. I'm Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth. How can I help you?
I've been struggling with a sense of depression and a lack of drive lately. I find myself laying in bed all day, feeling unmotivated to do anything with my life. It's been really tough to find the energy or desire to engage with activities and pursue my goals. Could you please offer some advice on how to overcome this feeling of inertia and start finding purpose and motivation again?
So, Kenneth, can I ask you, do you know or are you willing to share what you feel has caused you to feel this way most recently?
I just graduated a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been on the job hunt for a while, but I've had no luck finding anything.
Mm-hmm. And what did you get a degree in? What are you looking to do?
I got a degree in computer science, but most people get a bachelor's, and I only got an associate's.
Okay. Now, just so I know, is there a reason why you got the associates and not the full degree, or is that something you could go back and get more of later?
Well, I dropped out of high school when I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
and I was working full-time for a couple years, and I didn't like, not making enough money and living paycheck to paycheck. When I was 23, I went back to school, and I didn't want to waste more time studying. I just wanted to get something so I can work and make a little more money.
Well, here's the thing. I'm listening. So sometimes when we are in it, like you're in it, like you are the star of your own life, right? You're in it. When we're in it, we don't think the actions that we've done are anything impressive. Trust me, there are many days that I think I'm just Nancy, but yet people will say, oh my God, you're so inspiring, right? But the truth is, in hearing what you're talking about, I mean, you're the little bit that you told me, like, that's like the story that we have inspirational guests that come on our show all the time. And a lot of times it starts from a hard beginning, a reason they left school, could be a pregnancy, could be an addiction, could just be social pressures. We've actually had a lot of guests who have left school early, didn't graduate, got their degree another way. I think it's admirable that you dug in, that you worked. I think it's very intuitive of yourself to know that you wanted more. I mean, you could have gone 30 plus years of your life working those day in and day out jobs. But there was something inside you that said, I deserve more. I want more. And you stretched. You didn't go pie in the sky. I'm going to become an attorney. I'm going to become a doctor. But you took what you knew was an interest and you got a degree the fastest you could. I mean, I actually think that is really special. And In time, I want you to hear this show back again and hear yourself say what you just told me. Because your story is so early on the spectrum of being written. Because you're how old right now?
25.
25. Okay, well, I'm like a dinosaur compared to you. Okay? But I'm saying that you're 25. I mean, if you've already have had that intuitiveness to make those pivots, like high school wasn't your thing. I get it. Again, many of our inspirational guests left high school too. The fact that you knew that you deserve better, the fact that you ambitiously went for the degree, that you should give yourself credit for that. Now, the great thing is you're only 25. You've got your whole second half of your 20s ahead of you. You've got all your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I bet you live to 100. That's a lot of time, my friend. Now, what you do with it from here, you have to kind of make some decisions. But depression is something that's very real, because it's very real to feel like you're not where you want to be. And it's very real to feel like sometimes we're running in quicksand and like, why can't I go faster? And I'm telling you, as somebody who's legally blind, who can't see a lick of anything anymore, to have to run a company and to have to do the things I need to do on my own, I understand pressure. But I think that you just, number one, need to give yourself some credit. Number two, I would really, really encourage you, just like how you and I are talking, I would really encourage you to find somebody that you can talk to. I love the idea of coach, therapy, even a good friend of yours, and we call that an accountability partner, somebody that's you can elevate them, they can elevate you, even if it's a peer. You know, just the process of talking things out is helpful. And then it sounds like you're putting yourself out there and you're not getting yeses on your resume. Is that right? You haven't quite got that job yet? Okay. So what you want to think about is, I think the degree that you got is great. Very not going anywhere, right? Computer science, it's not like that's going to go away, right? So that's a good thing. But you want to think about, what is your USP? That's your unique selling proposition. And I want you to think about that, and this should be more exciting than torture, okay? Your unique selling proposition is going to be, if you were to line up 10 people with the same degree, what is it that you are good at that are your superpowers? That maybe the others aren't as good at, or just something that you're naturally gifted at, or something that you're proud of. It could be in any one of those categories. And you might say, well, I think pretty sure the same 10 people can do all that I can do. Well, then break it down, and how do you do it differently? And part of that is writing that down. So I would, very simply, I would put at the top what you are professionally, what you would call yourself as your title. And then I would back out all the qualities, that skills that you have. And what you want to do when you're in in an interview is you want to become a storyteller. You want to bring that resume to life. It's interesting, I interview a lot of people, and I am always looking for what is called a breakout moment. Now, a breakout moment is not that I got the such and such award. Wonk, wonk, wonk. That's not the breakout moment. The breakout moment is when someone is vulnerable. And there's plenty of people, I guess because they know I'm blind, they feel like they will be honest with me about their OCD or their ADHD or their hearing impairment or their dyslexia. I love it when people are vulnerable, because that tells me, wow, you are heart-centered. You are somebody that, doesn't hold back. You're honest. You're my kind of living full-out person. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that you have to go in there saying, hey, lately I've been depressed and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. You don't have to share everything. But you do want to bring some storytelling qualities to your interview. So maybe if you're good at animation, where did that come from? How are you good at that? Maybe if you're someone that can crack any technical code and you're just really resourceful, tell us that story. But I think if you line up what you're good at and you line up stories, you're going to knock the next interview out of the ballpark. Can you try that?
Mm-hmm.
Are we friends?
Really clever.
You trust me?
It's really clever, actually.
Good. You got this. And I'll be like, oh, I knew Kenneth when. I knew him when. He's so successful now. So thank you so much for calling in, and we believe in you. And then for everybody else listening, we are about leaping away from today's show, just like Kenneth, taking action so that we can do what? That's right, live full out. We'll be back.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See? That's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we've been talking about making the most out of where you are in life. And our inspirational guest today is Mandy Meehan, which I can't wait to share with you the twists and turns of her story, truly. But what I love is she's a force to be reckoned with. She's like, this health will not get me down. And for all of you listening, I think we can all kind of rub a few elbows with her and get some of that energy and some of that positivity. So welcome, Mandy.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm so honored to be back again.
Oh, loving having you, truly. And I want to kind of catch our audience up here a bit. I mean, having you is what I really mean, because you grew up in a loving family. You had both of your parents and your siblings. You're one of 6. That's a large family. A lot of love, a lot of good memories. I know through high school you were doing, ballet. You did find that you struggled a bit with, fatigue and your menstrual cycle a bit and dizziness and all that. But then eventually, after graduating, you decided to go work at your church. And really, this is when the Mandy calling came together, right? You were in the zone. This was, you work in the youth ministry. This was it. I mean, job forever, right?
Absolutely.
And again, I like I said, I mean it when I say I want to rub elbows with you, because not only did you have a dream job in the youth ministry, then you met your hunky husband, James. And I mean, some of us are still looking for our Mr. Right, and you found him early in your life, around 18, 19. But really, around 20, here you were getting married, should be the happiest time of your life. But all of a sudden, like, your health hits like a huge bump in the road. What happened then? I mean, I knew you had these other symptoms earlier, but why did it go to the 10th power?
Yes, so it was actually just 2 weeks before I got married to my husband that I originally got diagnosed with mono, and that's all we thought it was at the time. Now, looking back retrospectively, I realized there was probably a lot of kind of underlying infections that flared all at once that were causing just, this really major health crash that lasted way longer than expected. But yeah, initially it was like, oh no, this is terrible timing to be so fatigued and so sick right before my wedding. We expected it to get better, but just after some time, it didn't get better, but actually started to get worse.
Well, and you finally got what you kind of coined as your big diagnosis several years later, just before having your son. What is that? What did the Mayo Clinic just, diagnose you as having?
Yeah, so the really big kind of umbrella diagnosis, I would call it, from Mayo was chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, it's often also called, or myalgic encephalomyelitis, very long name, also fibromyalgia. But really, like, even years later, I finally started getting more clarity in what's actually behind that diagnosis, which involves Lyme disease and co-infections and other things.
Well, what I find fascinating, and we'll break down a lot of this in our next segment still, but you hit it right there in what you just said. You did find out recently about the home that you grew up in, how there was toxins there that caused this. What was that?
Yes, so it's been such a long journey of uncovering really what is at the root cause. And I mentioned the Lyme disease and co-infections is part of that. But yeah, we learned that living in a very moldy environment throughout my life, probably throughout high school, really was a contributing factor to the immune issues that, suppressed your mitochondria, causing more fatigue and causing me to be more susceptible to some of those infections. And that I had issues living in moldy environments and other points later on as well that caused just such horrific symptoms. But it took a long time to figure out that was part of the puzzle.
Well, and I'm sure your parents felt bad actually, because on one side of the home were the boys, the two boys, on the other side were the four girls, but three of you have Lyme disease. Is that all due to the house and the mold and the toxins?
That's a good question. I think that when it comes to chronic illness, I say like the terrain, the health of your immune system really matters. And when you have a really like think of like a full toxic bucket, it can cause your immune system to be suppressed and potentially contribute to your immune system not being able to keep Lyme in check. So, you know, it's not how we originally got exposed to Lyme. There's some questions there. Was it from a tick bite that we had? Was it, you know, who knows what else? But it likely did have a lot to do with the immune system suppression and the fatigue that a number of my sisters experienced.
Well, I know that your husband's father is a doctor, which is helpful, but, you know, he couldn't solve all your problems, but he did turn you on to a book. What book did he give you or tell you to read, and how did that affect you?
Yes, so this was right whenever I had to stop working in my, at the time, dream job in youth ministry, whenever I'm trying to figure out what to do next. And he recommended a book called The Bulletproof Diet. And I don't think it's like the best, you know, the like only nutrition book you ever need to read. But I actually, through that book, learned a lot about nutrition and learned actually about mold toxicity in that book too. The author talked about that, which was really interesting. But that was a turning point for me where I did start to really realize how important nutrition and your environment and your lifestyle is in creating that strong terrain, that healthy, you know, body so that you can fight the things contributing to chronic illness.
Well, and it's interesting because that birthed you into a new career, leaving the career in youth ministry that you love. You became a what?
Yes. So in the middle of my illness, I was realizing that I have to help other people like me. I can't not after going through everything that I've been through. So I did study to become a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. That's kind of like my base credentials. And I've just continued to do a lot of additional education after that so that I can really help support people with complex chronic illness. Through my journey, I've just realized it's so much more common than I certainly realized before. So yeah, I'm honored that God's brought purpose out of such a painful journey that I'm still fighting layers of it right now, but it's been cool to see how God's worked.
Well, exactly. I mean, he did find you a new path, and you know, there's that saying, when one door closes, another one opens, and I know some people lift an eyebrow. Is that really true? But for you, it really was true. And so, Mandy, I want you to stay with us, you know, and really today we are talking about making the most out of where you are. And right in all that you've shared with us so far, you're once again a beautiful example. So everyone stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. It's all about living full out.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today.
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority.
Seatbelt on.
They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about making the most out of where you are. And we're going to jump back in and continue our interview with Mandy Meehan. So I'd like to welcome her back to the show.
Thanks again.
Yes. And Mandy, you know, I really appreciated that you shared with us just so quickly, a segment went so fast, just the different, different feelings you were having in terms of fatigue and dizziness and just that walk and trying to figure out, how are you going to make changes in your life and that book and all of that. And that just sounds exhausting. And I want to know, and everybody else who has chronic pain wants to know, how do you get out of bed in the morning? Because like you said, this has been an ongoing struggle and still is.
For sure. Yeah, it's a good question. It's been an 8-year journey now, and I haven't completely explained like how debilitating it is, but I am very, very limited in what I'm able to do, and it can be really frustrating sometimes when you keep trying protocols and treatments, and you feel like you're not sometimes spinning your wheels and not really making any progress. I think there's a number of things that help me keep going. I really try to be focused on, obviously the good in my life I have right now, and also just the hope for progress and healing that I have seen out there. And so I think in the world there is so much, there's so much negativity. If you go on any chronic illness forum, it's like often a very depressing place. So I try to, spend time listening to the people who have healed and have recovered. And also I like listening to the people who are finding hope in the midst of their journeys too, and finding ways to still find purpose and, like you said, make the most of all situations, even in the hard days too.
The interesting thing is, you have what you're dealing with. For me, it's legal blindness, but I'm sure you're going to appreciate the question I'm going to ask. You had gone through different treatments where everybody's like, yeah, this is it. It's going to happen. And you were hopeful. And then at the end, you felt worse than you did. And I don't know about you, but I get people that ask me all the time, so how do you feel? And what does it feel like? And what do you see? What do you not see? And I'm sure you get questions like that too. That's a lot to take other people's stuff, other people's worries, other people's hopes. And that's a lot of pressure. How do you handle that?
Right. It's been a difficult journey, I'd say, in that aspect, because I've been very, very public about my health story. 6 months after I got sick, I started sharing on YouTube all the details, and now I share quite a bit on Instagram. And the way that I've shared has changed a bit over the years, I think, because of because of sometimes it can be difficult processing those conversations with people. I think you really do learn a lot about having good boundaries and I don't know, just sharing. You kind of learn to share with who are the right trusted community that you can really share the super hard moments with, and other people. I don't even really know how to explain it. You just kind of learn when to share what and when to kind of. Oftentimes, I think I just really I want to keep things hopeful. And so when people ask me how I'm doing and how hard things are, I'll tell them a little bit for sure. But then I really want to focus on okay, but this is what we're looking forward to. This is what's next. This is this is the treatment. This is the next this is the next thing we're looking at for sure.
Yep, that makes sense. Now you obviously you got your husband and you've got your son Jace and a baby on the way. Your little girl is due very soon, and you have your disability, I have mine. I know that hasn't been a word that you've wanted to wear around town and try on much over the years. Right. It's a word you had to get used to. But how did you finally get used to embracing the word disability? And what tools are you using now that you've gotten around that bend, that will help you be independent?
For sure. Yes, I think it's been in the last couple of years that I have started to embrace that word a bit. And it's actually, I tell people now, it's the closer I get to healing in my own, because I do believe I can heal. It's actually the more I'm willing to talk about the disability and utilize accessibility tools and things that help me live my life more fully. And really the big thing that changed that, honestly, was having my son. Just as I'm realizing, for years I'm like, oh, my illness is often invisible. I don't look sick. People won't understand if I'm in a wheelchair or using whatever tool. And then having my son, I just realized I just can't afford to care about what people think, because it's so much more important that I do get to, I'd much rather, get to experience going to the zoo with my son, or, I'm not able to physically walk very far. So I have started using a wheelchair occasionally. I've got also a couple years ago, also after I had my son, started using a cane due to just some balance and coordination issues I was having, and all of these things I use, intermittently as I need to, but it has been really, truly so empowering, and it's something I'm talking about more. It's kind of in the chronic illness community, because so many of us, I think that we are, we're afraid to take advantage of those things because of what people might think.
I love that. Wheelchair sales are going up right now because of everything you're saying, but it is independent. I mean, although I didn't love the white cane, and I do love my guide dog Frost, but it is hard when your health is getting worse and you have to move with it. And, you do have your little girl on the way, you have Jace, but there were some major times of uncertainty. You had a menstrual cycle that came and went. Not even sure if you could have even had kids, let alone the, am I dying? I mean, back when you were, getting married and got the big diagnosis, I mean, and I know even last year you kind of went through some depression pockets. What would you say to somebody who is dealing with chronic illness, in terms of handling those dark thoughts?
At first, I would say it's, very cheesy saying that we hear so often, it's okay to not be okay. But truly, I'd say, of course, in those really hard times, of course, you would feel that way. And you shouldn't suppress those feelings. You should allow yourself to grieve and mourn and have any, whatever frustration. And I just, I think a huge lesson I've had to learn, because I've been someone in the past that can suppress a lot of those emotions, that we should bring those to God and process those with God. He wants to be a part of that grief or anger or frustration, and let us work it out with Him. So yeah, I would say feel the emotions, process, cry, get it out, talk to trusted people. And, I've done plenty of counseling and EMDR and IFS and, all of those things too. But I think, it's important to let yourself have those moments where you are really low, and it may just feel like kind of breakdown kind of days. But then, but after processing that, get up and, wash your face, and then embrace the life that God's given you. And then, think, focus on what is the next right thing for me to do.
Well, I know that is something that you've embraced, is feeling things through. And your middle name is Hope, right?
It is, yes.
I mean, you really stand by hope. It's your name. It's the way you live. And, for anybody, as we round out today's interview, somebody who says, gosh, I wish I could be more like Mandy, or I don't have all the same support. I don't have a husband like that. What would you just say to them, in terms of, what they should embrace?
I'd say the first thing I would say is just know how much that God loves you so much, and that there is a purpose in pain. I just truly believe that God works all things together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. And I just would, I feel like I'm almost getting emotional thinking about, because I just know how difficult it can be, and I can't even really imagine what it would be like having really not having great support. But so first, seek Jesus and rely on Him. Second, I would look for support and community wherever you can find it, within your family or friends, or even if I've made really incredible friends, even through social media, that can kind of really understand and gets where I'm at. I think that if you have the capacity to find ways to serve and look outside yourself, that can be a really beautiful way to to find joy and purpose in life again. So I think it starts with those fundamental, those foundational things, and just know that, there, like I said, there's a purpose in your pain. And if you are struggling with complex chronic illness, I just truly believe there's so much healing that's possible. I know every person's different, but I just really believe that there's always something you can do to just even get a little bit better, to be able to even further live the life that God's called you to live.
I love that. Well, you were wildly successful in youth ministry, but truly you are just a force to be reckoned with. And I just so appreciate who you are and the honesty and just I'm digging that you get emotional because you want people to feel hopeful. Hope is not just your middle name. It just defines who you are. So, Mandy, thank you so much for being in today's show and sharing all your wisdom. You really gave us a lot to ponder and think about, and we'll be praying for you and wishing you all the best as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And for everybody listening, if you have an inspirational story, gosh, just like Mandy, we learn so much from each other. Just go to connect@livingfullout.com. Let us know what you went through, how you got through it, your contact information. We'd love to have you on the show, and we'll be coming right back after this break.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to making the most out of where you are in life, it's really about celebrating where you are. Even the times that you feel like you failed, you're in a rough patch, I look at those as growing opportunities. Moments that you can learn a new skill, moments that you can test yourself to thrive, to rise, because it's that spirit, it's that courage, it's that destiny to achieve living full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about making the most out of where you are. And those words are very actually special to me because I am somebody who would like to always do more, be more. Now, I realize my visual impairment holds me back just a wee bit or makes me jump through, hoopity hoops to get to where I want to go. But at the same time, it's really interesting because I want to thank blindness. I know that seems strange to say, but really it has allowed me to really appreciate, to embrace where I am in life and make the most of it. And sometimes that's awkward to say, like, I can't believe that you would say that, like you enjoy being blind, but I really do. It's amazing how it's allowed me to see people differently. Yes, I use that word see because I see with my heart. I see with my head, like what I think people look like based upon the texture of their voice or the embrace of their arms or the shake of their hand. Allows me to tap into all of my senses. I mean, I personally think I hear better than my guide dog Frost and my Chihuahua Charlie. I can hear things way, way far away. And, just the sense of taste and smell and all of that. I remember going to Europe a few years back. And although I couldn't see the Eiffel Tower, it was interesting talking to all the people that I went on the trip with because they were looking at the cafes. I was listening to the accents, the conversations, the music, and it was very romantic. I mean, I think I was experiencing a different movie than they were because they were seeing homelessness. They were seeing busy and rude people cutting them off. And I in my story, it wasn't any of that. It was enchanting. So in some ways, I want to thank blindness today for giving me that journey. And you want to think about where you are in your life. Sometimes that is when you have to take a pause. That might mean when you are needing to be a caregiver for another person. That might mean when you need to kind of take a time out and hold back on a dream you have because maybe your family needs something. I think about different clients and different people that reach out to us on social media. And I think the biggest battle that a lot of people have is making sure that in the moment they're doing the right thing in terms of taking care of all the people in their life, but balancing that with not losing themselves and making sure that they keep holding that space for their future. And, when we're talking today about making the most out of where we are, it really is about that. Even when you're on a pause in life, that is when you can actually take time to study. I wish I had a pause right now. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that I'm doing, but I've got this really long list of all this stuff I want to do if I had more time to learn guitar better, time to listen to podcasts that I really want to hear. And so for everybody out there right now who is kind of in that time of pause, really cherish this time. It is special time with the people you're with, but also special time to be in education. I had to give up driving in my early 20s, and at that point I was still selling real estate, and so I no longer could drive, so I couldn't jump in my car and go from showing to showing and open house to open house, so I would take anywhere between 2 to 12 buses in a day. I would call good old 1-800-COMMUTE, and I would map out every trip, every ride, and sometimes that was leaving at 6 a.m. in the morning, getting back closer to 8 p.m., but the time that I was not driving, not needing to watch the roads, the time that I was on the bus, that was Nancy University. And so I took that time to become a better realtor. I even took that time, because that's when I started building Living Full Out, this company. That's when I did that time to consider what that looked like. Who would I need? What time, money, people would I need to make that possible? So I really think that when we can embrace where we are, when we can look at the what might seem like a flaw or a failing or a tragedy, maybe it's actually a gift. Maybe it was just what we needed to get out of our own way, just what we needed to snap us into a new reality, a one that's more sincere, a one that's more grateful, and maybe even one that's more peaceful. Because I look at a lot of people that are doing. They're on the hamster wheel. They're running. It's exhausting. And sometimes I do feel like I am that person. But I also temper that with enjoying where I am, enjoying the people I'm with, enjoying time that I'm alone. I actually really do enjoy that. I give a lot of energy when I'm here with you and all throughout the days of my life, really. But it's when I'm by myself. It's when I'm dreaming. I mean, for me, I dream in color, literally. And I always have a recorder next to my bed. So if I wake up from a dream and it's something that was really great, I voice it. I talk about it. Or if there's something on my mind, it's a to-do list item, I record it. I save it. So, I just want you to be joyful and happy where you are. And it's just a matter of embracing the moment. Of course, clear out the cobwebs, clear out the junk if there's things that are not working in your life. But also, it is about embracing what is good. And I want to thank all of our inspirational guests that come on the show, just like Mandy. And if you have an inspirational story, we'd very much like to hear from you. Reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Whether you've gone through an addiction, abuse, you went from hard beginnings and you're in a better place today, different heartbreaks, different disabilities. That is what connects us. Let us know what you learned, how you got through it, your contact info, and we look forward to having you on the show. As always, here to all of you, Living Full Out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, Living Full Out.